It's Mad along with Dracky today, and today we're going to talk about probably the most exciting unit that's upcoming for the next couple of months. Uh, Fallen Angel Corvus, and I'll tell you why he is so exciting in a minute. I get a powerful one. Yes, you do, Dracky. Uh, Fallen Angel Corvus. Leadership fit physical sizz damage plus 20%. In all honesty, incredibly powerful for Fallen Angel Corvus, especially with the catastrophe. Maybe the weakest part of the unit itself is actually the leadership, and it's still got incredible power to it because it amplifies itself and other units, and there's a lot of physical sizz damage out there. So, um, honestly, it's still a great leadership effect. Very specific, but you will use it a great deal. But let's just go through the rest of this. Evil Breath, make an enemy paralyzed with high. It's usually 60% probability, but if the unit is weak against probability, it's nearly 100% at that point, as it acts quote unquote like a critical. This is a very scary effect with Fallen Angel Corvus because it has such large range. If there is a unit that is weak to paralyze, Fallen Angel Corvus usually has enough movement and with this range uh, to be able to hit that unit with that. But in a weird way, that's almost the one that you want him to use against you because the other ones are so powerful. Fallen Blow is non elemental. It is a very interesting square, but it is in front of you, so it's not surrounding Fallen Angel Corvus. So all the enemies within this range, so it's a square that's in front. So it's not quite a 3 by 3. Uh, Beyond has 360% power, unless if it's a boss unit that's only 240% power. Um, Generally, you're going to be seeing a mix of boss and normal units, and I would say on most guild wars, the most you'll see is half and half. So it's still pretty powerful. 240 being non-elemental and being a large range, but with that unique range in there, it's still a very useful skill. The last skill is the Sizz. Randomly inflicts 43% power on enemies 8 times and rarely lowest defense power. Rarely is only 20%, I believe, for 3 turns, but it is done 8 times random attacks, and each random attack has a chance to lower the defensive power. So it does have a pretty high probability of at least one of those. You can still completely roll negative and not get it. Or if you've got a random amount of characters in there, you might get a couple. It's still a little random, but if you multiply that by 8, so that's 330, or sorry, yeah, well, I failed. That was 344. And Kava's probably go. Hey, still can't do math, Madden. They're probably correct. Um, it is random, but the 8 attacks is pretty good, and when you buff it up, it will actually become even more powerful. It is a pretty powerful attack, especially with Fallen Angel's stats. But the more interesting thing is not his stats, but his awakening skills. But before I get to that, he has a very unique ability that's guaranteed at level 1 that reduces its damage being taken by 20% for 3 turns. So he already has a damage down effect, which is pretty strong to begin with. But if you get his first awakening, he increases the dodge rate for 100% for 3 turns. So martial, breath, and magic are what you need to do to hurt Corvus. And this actually makes him a pretty scary unit in general, just because of his high range good agility, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a minute, and basically being immune to physical attacks for 3 turns. So it is a very, very, very scary situation overall there. Also, he has a natural immunity to paralyze, so you can't just trick him into, with the dodge, with like a magic thing. Um, so that does not work against him as well. He has Sizzle and Sab resistance, and Sizzle is important at 2. Fallen Angel Corvus is a fairly good counter to Psaro, just because Psaro's biggest damage, you can actually have his resistance up to 75% with 2 awakenings. And on top of that, if you then give him a little bit more with other pieces of gear, he can be pretty hard to kill with Psaro. And you actually have to bring in a magic unit or a breath unit. And, a little later, I'll tell you where call. Actually, you know what? I'll tell him now and later. Fallen Angel Corvus right now has kind of 3, I would say, counters. One of them is Baramos, one of them is Dimensional Dragon, and the other one is Grey Gnarl, which is currently on the banner. And one of the reasons why I wanted Grey Gnarl, especially at 1 heart, so bad. For most people, we're going to be stuck with the oldest unit, but he is weak to confuse, and that's what you're going to be using to. No, not confuse, sorry. He is stunned. But still, those are the 3 that I think have the best overall damage to Fallen Angel Corvus for the bang for the buck. And Baramos is already a pretty good Guild Wars defense unit, so that's something that you're going to want to basically kind of plan if you have him on your team to put them there just because of Fallen Angel Corvus. From here on, basically out for Guild Wars. Now let's talk about the 3rd Awakening, which is where he really shines. It increases attack power for 1 turn when you attack. It gives also catastrophe power 5%. This is incredible because basically he will attack turn 1 with his ability to, and you can place him on attack, especially turn 1, he will do a lot of damage. Turn 2, he will do even more, and they'll be consistent from the rest of the way through. This is great for PvE as well, but Psaro is much better at PvE than Fallen Angel Corvus because I'll show you after this, but he's only basically near hard to kill at 3 turns. This is a PvE or PvP character with some PvE usability as well. Last one, 5, is physical crit rate goes up as well, and with catastrophe power. Overall, his kit is incredibly solid, very tight, and very scary in PvP, which is why he's rated so high. Biggest issue is his HP and defense are relatively low at 1068 and 320. Now remember, he does get that 20% reduction in damage, so going through that, he does have effectively higher HP than that for the first 3 turns, which is once again great for PvP. And for PvE, you're kind of dealing with long battles where he can kind of struggle a little bit because he could be one-shotted. Outside of that, or if you've got a tank that will cover, Fallen Angel Corvus will be able to lay out the damage for a very long time because of it if you have him at the 3 hearts ability. So, all in all, still, I wouldn't say he's horrible at PvE. He just needs a little setup and he'll still shine for a very long time. His attack at 572 is crazy. And remember, with that, if you get him to 3rd Awakening, which only a few will, and people who have saved up or gotten really lucky, you will be very happy with his damage output. His agility is 497, which also allows him with the movement of 4 to really take out and do some serious damage. Wisdom 221. No one really cares at that point. Um, his skills, honestly, this is the only skill I can come up with, and it's still a waste for Fallen Angel Corvus. And it's a waste to put a skill on him if you're going to put him on any of your defense, because if they use it, it truly ruins what he can do. So I wouldn't even worry about that, and just kind of leave him out there. But it's the only skill I could really think of that's maybe useful, and even then, I don't think so. You're just going to want to attack with him. That's all. He's a very simple unit to use, especially in PvP. His preferred weapon is going to be the Evil Eye Axe, which will be coming out soon within the Furious Fallen Angel event, which I'm assuming is going to be coming out by the time that I get this video up and running. Attack is plus 28, which isn't all that great. Lost what the ability is, which is a physical plus 4%. Just remember, he's already incredibly silly for that, and I got the wrong skills here, but you're going to want to look for Catastrophe as the main skill here. But honestly, HP. HP is the unit that is the thing that you want to put on there, other than the skills, just to try to give him a little bit more life, and it might really surprise other people that you're playing against. Remember, he is PvP. Giving him the Evil Eye Axe will give him 4% damage, just general. And if you somehow come out with like 120 more HP on top of it, that really gives him enough overall life to be able to survive a couple of magic users and totally just allow him to destroy them. Pros, there's a lot of them. His 100% dodge rate for the first 3 turns physical really makes other people come up with different plans. And if you're on the attack, using him will allow you to potentially take out units that you're very, very afraid of, including Psaro with this magic because of his sizzle. 20% damage reduction on top of that, and 4 movement, along with his ability to attack 8 times, which lowers defense, almost guaranteed lowering the defense once if it's a 1 unit. And on top of it, his third awakening just allows you to keep attacking with even more. Just makes him an absolute powerhouse, especially turn 2 and beyond. But with the 100% dodge rate, makes people change a lot of plans. Dual Magus, you had the ability to plan around. Psaro was a very, very convenient counter to Dual Magnus. Fallen Angel Corvus is a little less changing overall, but you can counteract him with a few units here, and I'll show them just real quick. Unfortunately, for me, it's a little scary because I don't quite have them. Let's actually basically filter by ability. Bang. And actually, it is confusion. So I would call the most powerful one is Baramos. Baramos is with the bang, and on top of the bang, because Fallen Angel Corvus is weak to bang, the ability to confuse Fallen Angel Corvus is the scariest thing to Corvus people. So having this on your defense team is going to be absolutely important, especially if you're going to be fighting people that have Corvus. Obviously, you don't know, but people will try and avoid Baramos teams if possible if their main person is Corvus. Or if you do, and especially if you've got a couple of physical units, maybe like you're going to go 3 and 2 on side, you put Baramos on where your more physical is to kind of counter the Fallen Angel Corvus strat of drawing people out. Or they're going to have to go fairly kamikaze to stop Baramos. And for Corvus users, Baramos is by far the scariest one. The next scariest is probably Grey Gnarl. So all in all, that is the next. Um, I would call the next biggest one is going to be Grey Gnarl. Then the last one is going to be Dimension Dragon. But here's Grey Gnarl. I actually just learned that you can't check there. This one here is going to be the big one to counter if you have Grey Gnarl, and then Dimension Dragon. It's also fairly fast and strong. You're going to be using probably the Dimensional Fire Stage Attack Breath. I have not really fully leveled him yet, and so for me, it's going to be Baramos. I'm trying to get to rank 8 by the end of this range. Cons, HP is a bit low, but there's ways around it. I can't come up with anything else. Will I pull? Yeah. Still meta JP. Arguably the best unit. Definitely still in the top 5. Probably the best unit is Psaro, but he is a great counter to Psaro. And still very useful for many, many, many other things. He's just not the counter unit just for that. So, very, very, very good pull. Summonable units for Fallen Angel Corvus is Cumulus Hex. Unfortunately, the going with the most powerful unit has a pretty crappy banner. Yeah, this is not the greatest. Stats are okay. Very interesting. Third Awakening can rarely increase the resistance to physical skills for 3 turns at the beginning of the action. And the First Awakening lowers breath costs and increases breath power. So you're going to want to use another breath skill. Ice Crystal's breath, though, it does inflict great breath damage to all enemies. It's not as quite as powerful as some of the S units with great breath, but still can be useful for that. But it is pretty much a one-trick pony. Mirage Breath does have Dazzle at 40%. You're not going to be using Ice Circle unless if you're out of MP. Its HP and defense is decent. Movement is a little slow at 2. Agility is good at 450. And the MP is enough to be able to Ice Crystal's Breath for 5 to 6 turns if you get 5 hearts. And if you're going heavy for Corvus, then you're obviously going to be getting them. Leadership Effect, though, has a little bit of use, especially for A units and below. If you're going to build a Breath Power team, increasing Breath Power by 5% is pretty good overall. But from a unit, it's just okay. It's a one-trick pony for Ice Crystal's Breath, but if you're building a Ice Breath team, then Cumulus Hex does have a fit there. And just, example, I mean, this is a Dragon Potency here. But if there's an Ice Breath or Ice, and when I mean Ice, it should be Crackle, then that would be right there. So I hope you guys do enjoy. Good luck to everyone pulling Fallen Angel Corvus. Question's going to be: should I pull for him or Psaro? I personally would say Corvus only because of the chance that getting him Awakening 1 with 100%, if you don't have dual Magnus, is really important for arena stuff and PvP. If you do have dual Magus, then I think Psaro's just slightly better, but you're really going at this time tomato versus tomato. And I will say that Corvus is someone that you can use to try to lock up Psaro, especially with the fact that he has the eight times attack catastrophe, and you can use that to even counter his what I call guts, or the one time at 1 HP life for Psaro. So very interesting unit, very good unit. And right now, I would say that there's nothing else coming up other than maybe one other unit that's even within this range of Psaro and Dark and Fallen Angel Corvus. And even then, I really can't say much more than that. These are just really powerful units. So I hope you guys enjoy. And like Draki, have a good day. I'll see you